Hey, how's it going guys? Dazlirn here, and welcome back to another video. Sorry I haven't been all that active on this channel for the past 3 months, mainly because I got really bored of this game, but seeing the new PvP changes in Battles for Azeroth, it really hyped me up and I will like to build a larger fan base before the expansion is released, so that way I'd be even more excited to make videos. So today I am bringing back the PvP guide series. Last time we did it on Arms Warriors, and now we're gonna take a look at Fury Warriors. Now, this guide will mainly focus on battlegrounds and just casual PvP instead of ranked PvP, mainly because Arms Warrior is, in my opinion, a better choice for arenas. I do play Fury more than Arms these days because I don't really play ranked PvP anymore. So anyways, throughout the series, I will be talking about talents and honor talents, key bindings, movements, DPS rotations, add-ons, and macros. Today's video is talents and honor talents. Hope you guys enjoy. So in this video I'll be going through my talents and honor talents and why I choose these talents. Starting off with my talents, I use Endless Rage, Stormbolt, Avatar, Warpaint, Frothing Berserker, Inner Rage, and Reckless Abandon. For my honor talents, I use Gladiator's Medallion, Reinforced Armor, Disarm, Master and Commander, Battle Trance, and Endless Rage. So for the level 15 row, I mainly use Endless Rage, which it makes my auto attack generate 30% additional rage, which is extremely good, and I never run out of rage. Now if I'm in battlegrounds and I can guarantee that I can get a lot of kills, then I'll switch to War Machine, which when you kill a target, it grants you 30% haste and 30% movement speed for 15 seconds. So for the level 30 row, if you're playing ranked PvP, I suggest you use Shockwave or Stormbolt. If you can guarantee to hit all 3 targets in 33, then definitely use Shockwave, because then it'll be more effective than Stormbolt. So if you're playing casual PvP and you want to swap your mobility for a stun, then go for it, because your teammates can help you CC and stun the enemies, while you can have an extra charge for extra mobility. Now for the level 45 row, I mainly use Avatar, which increases your damage by 20% and removes all your roots and snares. So for Outburst, Berserker Rage causes enraged, and it's not that really useful because you can already get enraged by using your Bloodthirst, and you want to save your Berserker Rage for when you get feared. And for Wrecking Ball, it's mainly for PvE because it increases your whirlwind damage by 250%, and it's not that very useful as well. It is really cool when you're doing PvE and you just go in there, AoE all your enemies down, but for PvP, just stick with Avatar. So for the level 60 row, I mainly use Warpaint for PvP because you only take 15 increased damage from enraged instead of 20%. And I don't really use Bounding Stride. Now you can use it if you know you have healers healing you and you can guarantee that you won't die. And for Furious Charge, it's alright, but if you can't get a charge on your enemy, and you will die. So just stick with Warpaint if you can't guarantee to get a charge, or you can't guarantee to stay alive without a healer. For the level 75 row, I use Frothing Berserker. So when you reach 100 rage, your damage is increased by 15% and your movement speed by 30% for 6 seconds. So for Carnage, it only reduces the cost of Rampage by 15 rage, which is not that useful because you don't really run out of rage as a Fury Warrior already without this talent, so you definitely don't need it, and you can use Frothing Berserker instead of this one. So for Massacre, execute critical strikes reduce the rage cost of your next rampage by 100%. Now you won't be able to use execute at the start when your enemy is like full health, and like I said before, we don't really run out of rage, so this is not really useful, so stick with Frothing Berserker. For the level 90 row, I use Inner Rage, which your Raging Blow no longer requires enrage and deals 150% increased damage, but has a 4.5 seconds cooldown. This 150% increased damage is extremely good compared to Frenzy, which increases your haste by 5%, stacking up to 3 times, and Bloodbath, which causes the target to bleed for 40% additional damage over 6 seconds. And finally, for the level 100 row, pretty easy, use Reckless Abandon, which your battle cry lasts 2 seconds longer and generates 100 rage, which, like I said before, you don't need Carnage and Massacre because you will never run out of rage with this build, and you should be constantly hitting your enemies and constantly putting pressure on them. For Dragon Roll and Bladestorm, these are AoE abilities which can be used for PvE, but this is a PvP guide, so you use Reckless Abandon. Alright, we're finally moving on to our honor talents. So for the first row, we use Gladiator's Medallion. Now, this is a pretty easy choice. This is a PvP trinket, so if you get stunned or CC'd, you can use Gladiator's Medallion to break out of that stun. And for adaptation and Relentless, use Relentless if you play an Orc. And adaptation, I don't really use this one, I'm not sure how good it is, but from what I've seen, most of the people use Gladiator's Medallion. So for this row, I am constantly changing it. So for Sparring, when I see there are more melees in their team, I use Sparring because they do physical damage. For Reinforced Armor, if there's like more balanced or more casters, I use Reinforced Armor, which increases my health by 10%. So for world PvP situations or just PvP in general, I do have a theory. I'm not 100% guaranteed this is the truth, but from what I've seen, you are more likely to encounter a class that does physical melee attacks than casters. So I might think Sparring will be a better choice if you're just out in world PvP. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure if this is true, but I am still investigating it, and I think I might make a video on this. So tell me if you guys would like to see this. For the third row, I also swap between Disarm and Death Sentence. So if I know that I'll get kited a lot by the enemies, then I'll use Death Sentence, which when you execute you can charge. For Disarm, if I know that there are more melees in the team, I can disarm them so they don't have a weapon to attack you with. So moving on to this row, I mainly swap between Master and Commander and Spell Reflection. If I don't know which one I want to use between these two, I use Rage Machine, which when you use it, non-periodic attack against you generates 5 rage. But for Spell Reflection, I use it when there are a lot of casters in the enemy team. So for example, if a mage wants to polymorph you, you can use Spell Reflection to reflect the spell onto the mage, so the mage will get polymorphed instead. And when there are no casters, I use Master and Commander, which reduces the cooldown of your commanding shout by 2 minutes, which is also really helpful. So moving on to the second last row, which we have more options now. So we can choose between Barbarian, Battle Trance, and Thirst for Battle. Okay, so Barbarian increases your charges and leaps by 2, so you will have extra 2 leaps and 2 charges. And it also increases the damage done by your heroic leap by 200%. So using this and double time will give you extra mobility, and you can pretty much escape from people, you can kite people, you can catch up to mages finally. So for Battle Trance, after you use Raging Blow on the same target twice, you will start generating 3% of your health and generate 5 rage every 3 seconds for 12 seconds. So you gain more rage and survivability. For Thirst for Battle, when you use Bloodthirst, it clears all your snares and increases your movement speed by 15% for 2 seconds. So when I know that I'll get snared a lot, I'll definitely use Thirst for Battle. And when I don't know which one I want to choose, I usually just stick with Battle Trance. But for Barbarian, it is really fun to play with in Battlegrounds, and if you want to have extra mobility in Battlegrounds, I highly recommend you using Barbarian. So for the last row, you also have a lot of choices. So Slaughterhouse, when you use Bloodthirst, the damage is increased by 10% and the cooldown is reduced by 1 second for every 20% health your target is missing. And for Endless Rage, it increases the duration of your enrage effect by 1 second, and your Raging Blow refreshes the duration of your enrage. Death Wish increases your damage done by 5% at the cost of 10% of your health. stacks up to 10 times. So for Death Wish, I don't use this very often, apart from Battlegrounds and Temple of Kant Mogu. So when you grab the orbs and you stack this up to 10 times, you pop your cooldown, you can basically one hit someone. And for Solo House, I don't really use this much, so I'm not really sure how good this one is. But from what I've seen, in my opinion, this is kind of useless, so I mainly just stick with Endless Rage. But for the last two row here, it's all based on your playstyle, so you can pick whatever you want. It doesn't affect the build too much apart from Death Wish. So yeah, if you want to have some fun, yeah, use Death Wish, but mainly I prefer you just sticking with Endless Rage. So that's it for this video, guys. If I said anything wrong or made a mistake, please let me know in the comments below. Next week we will take a look at key bindings and rumors. But till next time, peace out.